The setup part of bookkeeping, yeah, this is the part that sucks. It's confusing, it's tedious, and it's the one thing I see that turns creatives off from bookkeeping entirely. Because you're not just categorizing transactions here, you're trying to figure out how to put it all together to connect accounts, import data, set up categories, and make sure everything is actually correct from the start. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what we set up for our clients, so they don't have to deal with this part at all, and why this is the piece that makes everything else feel easy to maintain moving forward. This is something that my team and I do all the time, because after working with hundreds of creative business owners, this is the one consistent pattern. They're willing to do their bookkeeping, they just don't want to fight the system to get started. So let me show you what this actually looks like. We had a client, she's a website copywriter, and before we stepped in, nothing was necessarily wrong, but nothing was fully set up either. Her accounts weren't all connected, her categories weren't clearly structured, and she didn't have a clean way to actually see her numbers. So even though she could have figured it out, it felt like a lot to even start. So first, we got her set up inside Xero. We created her account, got everything transferred over, and connected all of her accounts, her bank accounts, credit cards, Stripe, and PayPal. So now everything is flowing into one place automatically. No more jumping between platforms trying to piece things together. Then we built out her chart of accounts, which is just a fancy pants way of saying categories. But we didn't just use generic ones, we customized them to her business. So for her revenue, we broke it out by each of her service offerings. So now when she runs her P&L, she can clearly see exactly how much money she's making from each service. That kind of visibility is huge. Then we set up all of her expense categories using the same structure we use internally for all of our clients. So things like contractors, software, training and education, fonts and graphics, yes, I see you, brand and web designers, travel, meals, all organized in a way that actually makes sense for creative businesses. And then we got to the part that honestly sucks. Getting all of her past data into the system, because sometimes when you connect a bank account, it doesn't always pull in everything. Sometimes it's just the last 2 to 3 months. So now you're stuck trying to figure out how to export data from your bank, your credit cards, Stripe, PayPal, and how to avoid duplicating transactions, and how to import everything correctly. This is where most people get overwhelmed, and not just because they're spreadsheets and CSVs. So we handled all of that for her. We exported everything we needed, cleaned up the files, made sure nothing overlapped, and imported it all into Xero correctly. So when she logged in, everything was already there. Her accounts were connected, her categories were set, her transactions were ready to go. She didn't have to figure out anything. She could just sit down, follow the routine that I talked about in the last video, and be done. And she literally called me something like an angel unicorn superhero, because it removed that entire barrier for her. And that's the part most people don't realize. You don't need help doing bookkeeping forever, especially if you have a simple business. But getting it set up correctly from the start, that changes everything. Because now that system we talked about last week, it actually works. Those mistakes we talked about 2 videos ago, way easier to avoid. So if you're sitting here thinking, I could do this, but I do not want to deal with that setup process, that's exactly why we offer Xero Setup. We handle all of it for you, so you can step into a system that's already built correctly. And in the next video, I'm going to show you what it looks like to actually have ongoing support with this, so you're not second guessing yourself every single month. Go watch that next video. I linked it right here for you, and I'll walk through exactly how that works.